Now, for more on the Israeli election, global affairs analyst Kelechi Decker joins me virtually here in Lagos. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Now, the fifth election in about 3.5 years, and Benjamin Netanyahu is looking to make a comeback. But when you look at the fact that he is now in the opposition and he has the corruption cases battling, what are the chances that he makes a comeback?
The chance is somewhat 50-50 for both the coalition group and both Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. Because the way Israel is presently, politically, economically, and culturally, is like what's playing out now is identitarian politics, whereby everybody is going back to their identity and trying to project their identity and use it to gain a lot of political support. And Netanyahu, his opponents are seeing him as a disruptive force, that voting for him might be the end of the state of Israel as we've known it for the past 75 years, because what some of his supporters want, some of those who are some of the coalition that are joining him, especially the ultra Jewish Orthodox parties and some of the ultra right parties, what they want are decisions and policies that might change the present makeup of Israel. And that same thing that they want are also the same thing that are propelling the other party, being led by Yair Lapid, to also get people together to fight against Netanyahu. Coupled with the present corruption charges against him, which they say that if it goes along, it means that the Israeli liberal democracy is at risk.
He was unable to form a coalition, and that brought in Yair Lapid and Naftali Bennett. And many thought that would be the end of his political career, and that's Benjamin Netanyahu. How easy do you think that coalition of strange bedfellows that imploded just after a year made it easier for Benjamin Netanyahu to return?
Yeah, because the coalition, is like people going into a kind of a political coalition just because they don't want the face of Netanyahu. But there are other issues that within themselves they do not agree. Within that coalition, you have some Palestinian parties who are calling for the independence of the state of Palestine. Then within the same coalition, you have some Jewish parties who want a two-state solution. Within that same coalition, you have some other parties who want pure a Jewish state that has nothing to do with Arabs. So, but because they have a common enemy, it becomes a situation of where your enemy's enemy becomes your friend. So they saw in Benjamin Netanyahu a bigger threat. They wanted to push him out without first and foremost addressing some of the differences amongst them. So after pushing Benjamin Netanyahu out, the differences amongst them started rearing its head. And that was what pushed them, to fall apart. And up till now, it's also quite interesting that they've not been able to address some of those issues, some of those differences. They've not been able to have a kind of a common ground on some of the issues that's been tearing them apart, like the state of Israel, like the two-state solution, and other issues. But that also has pushed a lot of other groups that are either anti-Palestine or anti-Arab or anti-two-state solution to also side with Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. Although within that same coalition that are siding with Netanyahu, they have a lot of sticky issues that are yet to be able to resolve. And that's why a lot of posters coming out from Israel are projecting that this same election might end up in another stalemate.
And you're right, when you look at the pre-election opinion polls, you find out that both sides are falling short of a majority. And one wonders, are we expected to see, or would you be surprised to see a sixth election in Israel anytime soon?
Yeah, it's likely because the way Israel is going now, coupled with the challenges, the external economic headwinds as a result of the Russian Ukraine war, and also the global economic challenges that are facing, so many people are angry. But the thing is that now they are angry at the way things are. But coming home, they don't know where to push their anger to. So what they are looking at now for are some of the domestic disagreements, some of the things they disagree on, and are holding on to it. And when you look at the way some of the pockets of disagreement, the pockets of groups are holding on to some of these disagreements, you will find out that there's no way any of the coalition will be able to get a 61 seats in the Knesset to be able to take the majority in parliament and form the government. So the likelihood that Israel is going back to kind of a status quo ante is there, and that is a big threat, not only to Israel, the political structure of Israel, but also to the economic system, because they've not been able to fashion out a responsive economic policy in the face of the global financial and economic challenges that are facing, coupled with their regional challenges. So Israel is, I think Israel is facing a lot of the problems many other countries are facing, but their own is that they've not been able to sort out their political differences to be able to handle these challenges.
Absolutely, and you said it rightly, having a stable government to deal with the challenges. But when you look at Netanyahu, he shared very similar views with former President Trump, and so both president and prime minister had some sort of one could call it a robust relationship. It was during Trump's time that Israel named it Jerusalem, or Benjamin Netanyahu named Jerusalem as his capital, and then we saw the embassy being relocated to Jerusalem as well. And so now President Biden, it didn't quite work with President Biden so well, and then until Naftali Bennett came in. How do you think President Biden is viewing this election when you look at the fact that, look, this same person could return to power and shares very different views?
Yeah, I think early in the week, the global left-leaning liberal Democrats all over the world heaved a big sigh of relief with what happened in Brazil, whereby a former Trumpist, Bolsonaro, lost to the former unionist and former president, Lula da Silva. And that also opened a door for Biden to have a very strong friend down South America. And what's happening now is that there seems to be globally, there seems to be that kind of a division, sharp division between the ultra rights and ultra left. And we don't have a lot of centrists. And that's why most people are calling for more centrists in a world that is so divided between ultra right and ultra left. You saw what happened in Italy. You saw what happened during the French election. Then you see what's happening in Hungary, where the other ultra nationalist leader is holding sway. So the coming of Netanyahu, if he finally succeeds, will be viewed by many, and not less the U.S. president, as a kind of slap on the face of liberal democracy. And I don't think that their relationship will be so cordial. But that also depends on regional equations because of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. National security trumps every other thing. So if the development in Ukraine and Russia continues, and Iran continues playing the kind of role it is playing presently in Ukraine and Russia, then it means that even if Netanyahu comes in, he wouldn't like to have to start off on a very bad note with President Biden, because they have a common foe in Iran. So the likelihood that they might try to mend their fences is there, but that depends on what happens during the U.S. midterm election.
All right, absolutely. And one wonders how the Palestinians are also viewing this election. Thank you so much for talking to us, Global Affairs Analyst Kelechi Decker.
Thank you.